If you sell your knowledge or expertise in any sort of client-facing business, whether as a creator or coach or consultant, there are three main ways to make more money. Number one is get more clients. Number two is get those clients to pay you more money. And number three is get those clients to stay for longer. In this video, I'm going to outline a really simple system that you can install to do all three at once, all while keeping the delivery really simple and super efficient and letting you focus on serving your current clients instead of spending all of your time and energy acquiring new ones. But before I dive into all that, just a really quick introduction. Hi, my name's Danny. I'm a writer and a creator. I've been doing this for about 8 years now. I built my last content business up to 6 figures, but then at the end of 2023, it all kind of fell apart. So now I'm trying to rebuild my business by sharing everything I've learned over the years, including what I've learned over the last 2 since that business died, where I've been doing a deep dive into how to turn your skills and knowledge into a really simple, solo and robust online business that makes really good money working just a few hours a day. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you get lots of value from this. And with that said, let's dive back into the video. I want you to imagine 2 different shopping malls. Mall A has the traditional setup. Multiple stores, multiple brands, all operating under the same roof. There's a course store, a coaching program store, a mastermind store, a store for ebooks and workshops, and so on and so forth. Each one of those stores in the mall are basically in competition with the rest. Each one has to promote itself, to market itself. They each have a separate checkout, and ultimately they have to convince anyone who steps into the mall to come inside and buy something. If they succeed, the customer goes in, buys something, steps out, and then leaves. The other stores then have to convince that same person to go into their store and buy something from them next. Now, the fact that there are multiple storefronts in the same mall means that there are multiple entry points. This adds complexity and it adds friction because people entering the mall don't necessarily know which one to choose. And it also means there are multiple exits. There are multiple ways away from what's on sale and back out of the mall itself. Now picture Mall B. It's one store, one brand, one checkout system, and it only sells one thing, which is a specific outcome to a pressing problem that the owners of that mall know exists in the market. But the mall also has multiple floors, all of them connected by an elevator that goes up, another one next to it that comes down. Each floor of that mall connected by that elevator is offering a different level of support, but each floor up offers it for a higher price. So each floor up is more expensive than the last, but the extra support you get also means you get faster results. That one door lets people in, and then the elevator takes them to the level of support they want. So compared to Mall A, this mall makes it really easy for people to buy the outcome. It also means that people with more money can get that outcome faster. And because the elevator goes up and down between the floors, people at those higher levels can simply drop down to get a lower level of support instead of just leaving the mall entirely. Mall A is what most people in the creator, coaching, consulting, agency, sell your knowledge and skills online info space end up with. They have what I call an offer medley. So when you go to someone's link in bio, there's a link tree, you click on it, and they might have 5, 6 or even more things for sale in there. They may be related, they may just have some sort of loose connection towards an overarching goal that they help people achieve. But either way, they're selling multiple offers or products, each of which have a fixed price and duration. Just a quick aside on this, there's a useful distinction between a product and an offer. A product is the thing people get, it's the actual thing that you're selling, whereas an offer is the way you package it, it's the way you present that thing to the market. The cliche way of describing this is that the product is the gift and the offer is the gift wrapping. So oftentimes when people have an offer medley, what they actually have is a product medley. It's just kind of a smorgasbord of potentially related, potentially unrelated products, ebooks, masterminds, consulting hours, coaching, mentoring, courses. Those are all products and services that they sell, but they're not necessarily packaged as an offer. But kind of back to the general idea, the problem of having an offer medley, whether it's comprised of actual offers or products, is that you create complexity, but you also leave money on the table. So for example, let's say someone buys your course, they may want ongoing mentorship after that course, but in your suite of offers or products, you may not have that as an option, so you lose out on that potential revenue. Basically, There will be people who buy stuff from your offer medley who want more, but you have no way to actually satisfy that demand. The other thing to note with an offer medley, with this setup, with the Mall A setup, is that each of those products is kind of a standalone, separate, distinct product. And so when you sell somebody one of them, if you then want them to get something else after, it requires reselling. You have to sell them into the front end and then resell them in the back end. So as I was trying to get across in the example, there are just lots of ways for people to fall through the cracks, as it were, to exit your business. People who potentially would have given you more money, you lose out on the potential sales. But then aside from the financial element, having multiple offers adds complexity, and there's kind of an energy component to it. Having the multiple things that you're trying to sell can divide your energy versus just having a single thing you're pouring all of your effort and resources into. As a basic example, let's say you want to improve everything in your offer medley. You've got no choice but to go into each product or offer individually and take the time, allocate the resources to improve them one by one. So this is where we get to the kind of the main subjects of this video, the system that I mentioned in the introduction, kind of better alternative to an offer medley, which is what I call an offer ladder. This is Mall B. This is the second mall in the example I gave. You have one primary offer, and then you sell different dynamic levels of support. Another way to kind of imagine this is the example of an aeroplane. Everyone on board is going to the same place, but the majority of people are in the cheap seats, the economy class. A smaller number are in business, and then the kind of lucky few are up there in first class. The depth of the kind of input they get from the people serving them is much greater in the higher levels, in the first class seats, where they've paid much more to get there, than it is in the economy class, where they've paid less. It's a similar idea with an offer ladder. Everyone who joins as a client is working towards the same outcome, the same transformation, but people at lower levels, at lower rungs, they pay less and get less support, less input from you, whereas people at the higher rungs pay more for more input, more support from you. Another way to think of this is kind of proximity. Those at lower rungs get less proximity to you. Those at the higher rungs get more proximity to you. And the result of that is that people at those higher rungs are paying more, but they get quicker results. This is how an offer ladder helps you get more clients, land more clients, get those clients to pay you more money, and get those clients to stay for longer. Because essentially what you're doing, you're making it really easy for people to join. You're making it really easy for people to say yes by keeping the now number, the amount of money they pay to become a client, low. Essentially, those lower rungs are kind of optimized to get the yes, to get the client, because the cost of entry is low. It's worth mentioning that people can join at the higher rungs if they want. They could go straight from a lead into even the highest rung of your ladder, but that's always going to be the exception versus the rule, because cheap things always sell in higher numbers. So the idea is to kind of sell people into the lower rungs first to maximize the chance of getting the yes. And then once they're in, by providing the higher levels of support, you tap into the corners of any market that are going to be willing to pay significantly more for faster results. And then on the get clients to stay longer side, in the same way that I mentioned that people in the mall who are on those upper levels could drop down to a lower floor instead of just leaving, the idea is that you can reduce churn simply by giving people an option to kind of downgrade, to drop to one of the lower rungs where they pay less for less support instead of just leaving altogether. But kind of above and beyond all of those benefits, the part of this that really appeals most to me is that you end up with a system that is super streamlined and that keeps your delivery burden really low. You maximize the number of clients you can serve, you maximize the impact that you can have, while still limiting the amount of time and effort you have to spend at work. Like I said, you're selling people into the lower rungs of your ladder, and most people are going to stay there because it's cheaper. But because the level and type of support that you're offering at those levels is minimal, your delivery burden doesn't increase with the number of people that you're serving. Then on the flip side, at those higher levels, that's where your delivery burden, the amount of time and effort you're going to be spending with clients, is higher or highest. But Naturally, because it's more expensive, there are going to be fewer people at those rungs. And so everything kind of evens out. And ultimately, you can decide how many people you take on at each level. You can look at your calendar, you can look at how much time you want to spend working and how much money you want to earn. And say, I've got capacity for X number of people at this level who I can serve with this higher level of support without putting me under too much pressure in terms of time and energy. So there's a tension in place between trying to find new clients, land new clients, and serve the clients you already have. And so if you're spending all of your time trying to land new clients and you don't have the time and energy to devote to your current ones, the quality of the service you can provide goes down and people are more likely to leave, which creates this kind of vicious cycle where you're now under more pressure to land new clients, which takes you away from your current ones again, and so on and so forth. An offer ladder helps correct this partly for the reasons I mentioned earlier in how it reduces churn by letting people drop to a lower level, but also because your revenue now no longer hinges on landing new clients. Instead, because you have those higher rungs, you can simply focus on your current clients and try to upsell those into the higher rungs. It's something that I call client momentum. What seems to be the case in this space is that people spend much less time trying to upsell their current clients than they do trying to find new ones. Whereas the kind of irony is that their current clients, because you have that rapport and trust, and hopefully you've got them results in the past, they're going to want more of you. And so they're going to be the ones who are most likely to enter these higher rungs. This is why we start at the bottom of our ladder and upsell into those higher levels. It's client momentum. You get them in motion and then kind of lean into that to encourage future purchases at a higher price point. So instead of that kind of vicious spiral that I mentioned earlier, you should be able to create like a nice upward spiral. You're now making more money from the clients you already serve. And that means you need fewer clients coming through the door in order to hit your financial goals. And that means that you're spending less time on acquisition, so you can devote more time to the clients that you already have. And that means that the quality of your service stays nice and high, which then obviously helps reduce churn and maximize LTV. I'll leave this video there. I hope that's been useful. I hope it's been kind of a valuable introduction to offer ladders and you can see their value when you're trying to build a simple, solo, robust online business that makes really good money in a few hours a day or a couple of days a week, which is what I'm trying to help people build and build for myself. If you would like to see how it might work in your business, if you're interested in installing it, feel free to reach out at any point and I will try my best to help. In the meantime, check out the link in the description. For an offer ladder to be really successful, you have to make sure that the offer itself is solid and has everything it needs to perform and convert. So the link in the description takes you to something called the Offer Unlock. It's a tool that I put together that gives you a visual depiction of the strength of your current offer and helps you see whether or not there are any hidden gaps or hidden opportunities that you could kind of lean into to increase results. It's totally free. It takes 10 minutes. So feel free to go and check it out. Finally, if you kind of like the idea of a simple solo and robust online business that you can run in a few hours a day and make great money from, check out this video next. I walk you through ice cold content, which is the framework that I'm using basically to achieve all of the above. So I hope you enjoy it and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.